Okay, everyone, this is my spoiler review of X-Men the Animated Series, Season 4, Episode 5, Xavier Remembers. This was originally Season 4, Episode 16, when it originally aired April 27th, 1996, but in the new order that you see on Disney Plus, it is now fitting in the timeline as Episode 5. Now, the thing about this episode is Xavier is concussed, and this weakened his hold on the Shadow King, who is now able to invade Xavier's mind. And we open in that nightmare Xavier's having, which is really all these illusions that the Shadow King is giving him and taking over his brain. I love we get to see the X-Men in their pajamas here, like Beast is just wearing boxers, which I thought is just an hysterical sight. Same with Wolverine in his boxers with the robe on. But they're all seeing some of their worst fears, like Wolverine seeing Sabretooth, Jubilee seeing the Sentinel, and then even Mr. Sinister comes to take Jean. And everything goes back to being Storm claustrophobic. And why this is a huge fear for Professor X, and that's what the Shadow King is hitting at on him, is that he has that big fear of not being able to protect the X-Men. But the X-Men in the hospital room will start detecting that someone is manipulating Professor X's mind somehow. And this is where he starts seeing his childhood home. It's the first time we see his mother, Sharon Xavier. And you get to see the X-Men now in their bathing suits by the pool. It's peaceful. This is a world where there's no Sentinels. There's no struggle. It's like a heaven for Professor X. But this is how the Shadow King is luring him in, and he's telling him just to let go. But I love seeing Jean contacting Professor X telepathically like he has done for her before to encourage him. And she's like, we need you. And I love the Shadow King's just like, ignore her. But what was really cool is in Xavier's mind, he now starts remembering where he first met the Shadow King 20 years ago. And it's where he sees and met little Storm, who stole his wallet, and she was stealing for the Shadow King. So you learn how awful of a mutant this Shadow King was by having children steal from him. And he says he doesn't steal from fellow mutants, but he will from humans. And that's when Charles has a great line where he says a thief is a thief no matter the victim. And it's great they alluded to how he battled Shadow King to save Storm and all the children of Cairo from his grasp. And they both turned into these telepathic beasts. So that was the first showdown we've seen of telepathy in this episode. We're going to get a big round 2 later on, which we're going to get to. But then we get to see through Charles's memory the classic X-Men again, and when Charles was originally forming the X-Men and driving home their purpose, that they can help keep a world where humans and mutants can coexist peacefully. But I love when all this is going on, Cyclops just bangs on the wall and he's like, how can we fight what we can't see? And what's really cool, and it's just a really amazing episode for Shadow King, where he was originally in season 2 episode 3, but I like him way better here. They just do much cooler effects with him and what he can do in his powers, and I love seeing him enter and possess Xavier and have Xavier floating talking to the X-Men. And it's very cool how they acknowledge how they can't attack him because then they'll be hurting the physical body of Professor X. And we'll see now he's really able to haunt the X-Men in the mansion because he's gotten in there through Professor X, where again he's bringing back Sabretooth, the Sentinel, and he's having the roof literally enclose on Storm. But these are all illusions. And it's good they had him acknowledge and recognize Aurora as she is older now. Now this is a standout episode for Jean as she goes into her astral form to find Professor X where he is caged away, and they combine their mind powers to set him free, which was really cool. So this is where the Shadow King senses he is escaping, so we get this astral plane showdown round 2. And what's great about this visually is I love seeing Professor X and the Shadow King just have this lightsaber duel. Like, you know, let's make lightsabers and go for it. And it was cool seeing Jean use these chains to attack him. Just a really cool sequence all around. And I like how they ended it with the Shadow King trying to pull both of them before they are able to actually escape his grasp, and then he is trapped away again. And it's a great ending with Professor X. Like the original comics do so much, I love when they end with something that's a lesson for the X-Men that Professor X will narrate and say. And that happens here, where there's 2 lessons here. First is that basically he's saying along the lines to, if you ease on the gas, that is when these evil forces can break through. So that was a reminder here. Also, his great line where he says, this forced me to think through why I formed the X-Men and why we fight our ideals and each other. In short, why I live. So it's just all the positive out of a negative experience and what you can learn from it. And I really like when Professor X has moments of reflection like this and lessons for the X-Men. So it's a strong episode for me. I really enjoyed it, and it's a great one to just play on its own right. You could watch this one without having watched any of the episodes before and really enjoy it. So it's a great standalone episode as well. So I'm going to give this one an 8.9. Let me know what you thought of it down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I read every comment. I try to respond as many as I can. And hit that sub button. I'm trying to get a bunch of subscribers here. It's a brand new X-Men channel. All things X-Men, so you don't want to miss any of that. And I'll see you next time.